Process and brand, they are at the root of everything your idea can be when it comes to making lives better. And we have Sierra Smith here today, an absolute savant at the circle of process and brand and how they feed back into each other. Sierra, thanks for joining. I am so excited to be working with you. Sierra has not only done this for other people, but she's done this for our own company where we got to see what was really happening under the hood. And then she came to me this morning with this wonderful presentation, and here we are on a recording. Thank you for joining, Sierra.
Hi, Bryant. Thank you for having me. That's awesome to hear that you guys feel like that's a lot of value. I don't think there's much you can have in company that is more valuable than having a nailed down process that is fully automizable. And this would give everyone value in and out of the company, I feel.
Well, I'm excited to see whatever you have for people because what you did for our team and the effort you put in for our community on top of that blueprint. Oh man. So let's get to it.
Thank you.
Marketing, brand, process, let's enrich that.
Perfect. All right. So when we're talking about the marketing branding process re-engineering proposal, the reason it's come up is because for the marketing and branding, we currently have had a little bit of a difference in lead switching. Someone has become more successful, so now we're just making sure the process fits the new lead and fits into what you guys already have. So the branding process, this has been decided to be this way so far, if you guys agree, because it will add no extra time. It'll add extra value to your packaging. They can actually have physical reports, physical things they can take home. And most importantly, it allows them to build off of this on their own in any direction they wish to be while staying consistent to their brand 100% of the time. So then they don't need to be handheld the whole way, if that makes sense. So when we start off with values discovery, that's just like having them do that values exercise that we talked about before. That is where they discover there's 3 or 4 values that their company is going to be surrounding. We do values reconfirmation just simply because there's a distance of time between that and when we start actually working with them on those values. And we just want to make sure that everything else that all your other leads have worked with them on, it still lines up with the values confirmation. Then we immediately broach brand and visual identity. Visual identity usually consists of a logo, a tagline, the color schemes, the icon type, etc., so that they have an exact reference for everything that they might possibly need under the sun for future days. And the language identity is every single tonnage that might be useful for them. What kind of words do they need coined? What kind of phrases do they need to make more consistent, etc., etc. This is so that they have a consistency in brand feel, even when they're talking to someone or when they're writing something. While both of those are being developed, we develop the brand guide at the same time. So there's no extra meetings for it. The client doesn't need to have an extra meeting for it. We just add visual identity, language identity. We make it a comprehensible guide for them so that they understand it for the rest of their lives. It includes, where would the titles be on specific pages? What would the titles be for those? What size would they be? What colors? Etc. So everything looks cohesive and consistent across everything they have. And then we just give that to them and show them how it works at the end. We do materials cohesion after the brand has been developed. We go through and we make sure that all their email signatures, all their headers, everything they have and want um, to have changed over their website, it's cohesive to the brand. And then when we close, we give them all of those items. So they walk away with a brand guide with their values confirmation will also be something they walk away with, and so much more. Every single header, etc. For the marketing client process, the whole time when everyone else is working on the structure with the client and branding has given them their first values discovery sheet, the marketing branch will be doing the target analysis, competitive analysis, and brand analysis during that time frame so that they don't waste client time. They don't need the client to tell them where to look because that's their job. So as they're looking at what's going on with the structure, they are continuously researching this until they are given the green light. The green light is when the rest of the team feels as though this person is ready to do branding and marketing, their company is structured enough, and they're ready to go. When we have that green light, we jump in with marketing suggestions and the research. We show them the research reports. We show them how these work, how they can find certain answers in here, and that these should be, since this is more qualitative information than quantitative, but of great value and based off of quantitative, it should last on average. It depends on the industry, but I find my clients normally have these last for about 5 to 7 years, still truly accurate to whatever they are searching up in these reports. Um, then we jump into marketing suggestions based off of those reports. And this is where they tell us, what are your ideas? What are your goals with marketing? So, for example, when you develop a website, what is the website for? Is it for selling? Is it for informing? Is it for just getting more client? Like whatever their goal is, that's what we achieve. After that, all the suggestions have come in and they've given us what they believe, we suggest, simply because we are able to do that, thankfully, with all our years of work, we're able to suggest marketing options. They get to choose the marketing options. And by the next meeting, we have marketing strategy developed. Now, the marketing strategy is where they've given us their goals and they've taken our suggestions as to what to take. So if we said we believe you should do social media on these platforms, and they said, no, I want to do Facebook as well, then we would also show up with Facebook. So at the end of the day, this is still very personalized to them. They've been um, given some of the best advice and they can still have control of their project. When we get to marketing strategy, this is where we're giving them things such as here's your social media posting times, here's your SEM policy, here's your Ahrefs, here's where you go, here's your social media aggregator, so that you don't have to scour online every day, but you can get this done in 10 seconds. Here's etc. If you're going through something like ad campaigns, it would be all right. So here's the best price options for you for these ad campaigns in your area. Here's probably the best option for that. Here's the best space. Here's the best time. So anything they choose, this is the strategy down to a T, a step-by-step A through D kind of step process. Um, for the marketing guides, that goes right after all the strategy has been developed, well, during and after. The second half, once the client has decided that they agree with their marketing strategy, they don't want to tweak it anymore, like say the time zone's off, and we didn't realize that, of course, right? So the marketing guide happens on the second half once they've approved the strategy and we're just finalizing it. And that way, these guides will be okay. So, how do you use the aggregator? It'll be available to them. Here's how you use this aggregator. You go for this, you go here for that, etc. If they're using, if they're trying to print on their own, those would also be in the marketing guides. So, how to print a full bleed paper, because it's actually not easy. You need an 0.125-inch bleed, etc. So, it would be a copy paste they can send to the printers or say to the printers that will get them what they need. And then when we close, we hand everything over. The beauty of this is nothing takes over the amount of time that is already assigned, because so much of this is done not working with the client, but working off of what the client has given us at the same time. So the process is pretty slick. I kind of visualized it for you, and I know this timeline is not fully accurate as to the middle part, but it's broken into the places of what I was speaking about. So at the introduction, I don't want to send it to them the first day. I feel like that's overwhelming. But as they're starting to go into structural development, I think I should send it. Then the values branding discovery sheet gets sent in then, so they can work with the structural development of their business with their teams the whole time with those in mind, which means that there won't be much realignment. If there's a major hiccup, we don't have to redo things because he feels horrible if we do, but he'll have those in mind the whole time. We do our research the entire time until we get the green light, and even a little bit after, just to make sure everything is still consistent after the development has been mostly finished. Of course, we reconfirm the values. So those are the two turquoise things you see. You'll see the visual identity above it getting created, the language identity being created, the brand guide being created over both of those. So there's no waste in time there, it's overlapped. Underneath, you'll see the marketing suggestions phase is on its own. I don't want to develop anything without that being done. Unfortunately, I don't believe it can be collapsed upon and done with something else, except for branding, of course. These are always being done at the same time. Just because you don't want anything to taint their decisions and their rationality when we come to marketing suggestions. That's almost completely in the non-creative phase. And then, of course, you have your marketing strategy being developed, and then at the same time, eventually, not starting at the same time, but you'll also have all of your branding cohesion between all your materials developed. That'll take the longest time in branding. And then underneath, with your marketing strategies being developed, and your marketing guides are developed in the second half, just like a branding guide would be, so that we make sure that they are agreeing with that market strategy and we're not wasting time doing it one after another, but it's happening at the same time. And then we close and we close. And it just fits within the process a little bit better. From my understanding, I can have a target market analysis kicked out within 1 day. Traditionally, with my clients that are in a bit of an emergency, I can have a competitive target market and a branding market analysis done in 2 days. So I know this is a completely viable option for even if we had to fast track someone. We don't have to worry about that part of the phase. The part that we cannot condense, if it's going to, this is the part I'm worried about, is the materials cohesion. It's going to give them substances, not substances, that's the horrible word, but it's going to give them items that they can take away with them. An already made email header, an already made this or that. If they do presentations, presentation sides that match their brand that they can use over and over again. Um, but that is going to take the longest amount of time. I feel like it might take over the course of 3 meetings. So I would like to push another option if that's okay. I believe it might be a good idea to put materials cohesion also at the start of the language brand identity, because a lot of the materials that you have to make cohesive don't have language in them. So, for example, PowerPoint slides, we could have those developed before language identity or while it's being developed. Or we could have an email signature being developed at the same time, unless they want to put more words in it. Mostly people just put their name and their titles and their company and then their logo. Um, but if they want to put words in it, we'll hold that off. And so that's why I would suggest maybe we move that under at the same time. And we could put our language meetings together with our brand guide meetings together with our um, branding material cohesion piece together. And that would give us a nice comfy window for if they have several pieces we have to work on. And that's my proposal. Um, I forgot I put this at the end. But yes, that's it.
Well, Sierra, this is fantastic. So you've got a really great process for keeping things together and making
Thank
sure
you.
a end result is achieved. And you also want people to have takeaways or very tangible things of substance that they
Yes.
can take away at each stage of the process where they can go out and help you find more of that market research by bringing them the confidence of an email signature or other things along those lines as you go more and more in depth.
Yes,
That's great.
exactly.
People love a takeaway and something they can do with that. So thank you
Thank you.
everyone for listening in. Sierra Smith at Advantage Design. She works with us on our team. We love her company at the same time, and we're all doing very much the same things at blueprint.org. You can also check us out at Advantage Design. What's your website specifically?
www.advantagedesign.ca.
.ca. Well, thank you everyone for your time and
Thank
feel
you.
free to reach out to us, smartfounders.io,
Yes.
advantagedesign.ca, or blueprint.org. Have a great day, guys. Cheers.
Smart Founders is worth it. Do it.